So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about a subject that I have actually in the past been asked about, and that I've made a promise or two to actually make a short video about. Now, this video vlog is going to be very basic, a beginner, almost a primer type of talk, but it's not going to be anything that cannot be used regardless of the advancement level of an individual and their current finances. That's basically what this talk's going to be about. It's going to be about finances and very basic ground level type stuff that you can start doing to improve your finances. Now, there's a lot of videos out there. There's a lot of information out there that deal with the subject about personal finances. The only problem with that is that many times you have to go to lectures or you have to go to certain talks or certain venues where talks are being given on the subject, and there's basically a fee. What I'm going to be doing here is basically giving information out that you would basically be getting at certain venues or certain lectures or talks regarding personal finance that you have to pay for, but basically I'm going to be giving it for free. The reason I'm going to be doing this is because I don't feel that you should have to pay for something that's beneficial to you and something that's really simple. Many people who have achieved financial success or a certain amount of financial security really don't talk very much about how they achieved that. And I think that it's important and something that people should have in their arsenal of knowledge in order to reach financial security. So, this is just going to be a basic primer. As I said, it's basically ground floor starting, but they're very powerful tools. Ground floor and starting type financial techniques do not necessarily mean weak or inept type techniques. It simply means techniques that can be used with little or no knowledge of advanced finances or similar type of subjects on the personal wealth and personal finances. Now, I have a few basic thoughts and a basic form for releasing this information or presenting this information, I should say. It's going to be a little more free form, a little more organic. I really am not reading off a script. Basically, these are just thoughts and ideas that I've seen work for other people, that I've seen in practice work for me myself. So I think that you'll probably be getting quite a bit out of this information if you follow up with it. So that's basically what I wanted to say as far as an introduction. So basically, what I wanted to talk about today is something a little bit different for you guys out there than some of my other videos that maybe you've seen here posted on my page. Um, this video is really for a wealth building series, basically, that I hope to put together. This will actually be number one in the series, and hopefully, if there's enough interest or enough questions about it, I'll continue the series as well. So, I hope this video nudges at least a few of you guys and girls out there in the right direction financially as individuals, and hopefully increases some of your wealth out there. This information applies to the United States. I can't necessarily speak for other countries, but I do want to see all my, as I like to say, brothers and sisters out there basically reach financial empowerment and wealth, or at the very least, some amount of financial security. Now, I want to start by saying that you're never too old or too young to start making these steps in order to reach some type of financial security. Now, as time progresses and everyone gets older, most people with their finances, they don't save any money. And of course, this is kind of a no-brainer that you're supposed to save money. But as people get older, a lot of people do not save money. And what winds up happening is they really don't have anything to fall back on. Basically, as I like to say, they don't have a pot to piss in, basically. When it's time to retire for a lot of older people, they're hoping that Social Security will be there when it's time. And considering the recent financial climate and political climate, I have a lot of questions about that. Now, hopefully, a few of you, this video will change your life a little bit financially and get you guys on the right track. If you follow my advice, I guarantee you're going to be better off for it. Now, I don't give out advice if I'm not following it myself or have seen it work for other people. Now, the very first thing that I recommend for anyone out there is for all of y'all to get what I'd like to call and what is commonly known as an emergency fund. Now, what you need to do if you don't have one, you need to start building one, like right now. And what an emergency fund is basically is you take a total sum of, say, 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So anything and everything that includes bills, that includes food, that includes rent, that includes car payments, anything and everything that you spend on within 3 to 6 months of your expenses that you would need to survive, and put that fund away. Now, this is there in case something unthinkable happens. You become ill, you have a long term illness, you have medical expenses, you suddenly lose your job, or anything catastrophic like that. You're at least covered for 3 to 6 months. I would recommend at the bare minimum at least 3 months. Six would be preferable, but three would be basically what you're the bare minimum you would want to go. Like I said, six is preferable, three the bare minimum. Now, I would do part of that emergency fund in silver. Um, Depending on the percentage, is really going to depend on really what you're comfortable with. Now is really a good time for you to stack on the silver, and this is basically the reason I say silver as opposed to gold, although I do recommend investments in gold as well. But silver is easier to move, and therefore it has is a lot more liquid as far as being able to move that in case you would have to basically cash it out. Now, you want some of it also in cash, whether it be in an emergency bank account fund or some other fund where it can be accessed quickly in case of an emergency. Now, as I said, this is basically if something catastrophic happens, you don't touch this money. You don't spend it. You only use it in case something bad happens, like you lose your job or whatever. Now, I would recommend about 5 grand minimum to start with for your emergency fund, or at least have that much as an emergency fund, and bare minimum $5,000. Maybe say you could put 2,500 in silver and 2,500 in cash. As I said, I don't recommend gold so much for this type of financial security, although I do recommend gold for other types of financial investments or financial hedge funds, because it's harder to move gold. And I think that of investing basically as long term for myself. I'm not one of those short term guys that do short term investments. But get that emergency fund going. It's never too soon, and or too late. Just start with that emergency fund. That's the very absolute first thing that you have to start with as far as building wealth and financial security is concerned. Now, the second step to financial security is that you want to become debt free. The only thing you really want to have as far as debt is concerned, you don't want to have cars that you're paying on. You don't want to have any kind of debt. At the most, you just want to have your house, a mortgage, as debt. And I know for some of you guys out there, that's not even a question. You don't own your house, or whatever, you're renting or whatever the case may be. But you want to be as debt free as possible with only a mortgage as your only form of debt. Now, of course, Um, don't abuse credit cards. But if some of y'all have outstanding credit card debt, what I would recommend is wiping out that credit card debt as quickly and as easily as possible. And the easiest, quickest way to eliminate credit card debt would be the following. Now, if you are in debt and you have creditors or anyone harassing you to collect on the debt, what you want to do is you want to contact these credit card companies, and hopefully, and I say hopefully, any of you out there do not have any more than one, maybe two outstanding credit card debts currently. Any more than that, it can get a little tricky. But what you want to do, say for example, you have $9,000 in outstanding credit card debt. What you want to do is you want to contact a company by phone and tell them, hey, listen, and you before you do this, say the example of $9,000, you want to build and save, say, one third of that. So whatever your credit card debt is, you take about one third of that, and you call them up using the $9,000 credit card debt example, and you say, hey, I have currently $3,000. I've come into $3,000 worth of debt, and you're currently holding a note as far as debt that I owe you. Now, I'm not going to be coming into any significant money for quite some time. So, what I would like to do is I would like to settle the debt for this amount. Now, if they agree to $3,000 using the $9,000 outstanding debt example, what you do is you say, okay, but you have to get that agreement in writing. I can't stress that enough. It has to be in writing that they give you an agreement in writing saying that they agree to settle the debt, the example $9,000 debt for the example $3,000. Now, when you go and it's time for you to make good on this payment, do not give these people access to a bank account number, because I've heard many times that people have done that and they will actually take out more than the agreed upon sum. What you want to do is you want to pay them in a cashier's check, a cashier's check that you get at a local savings and loan bank lending institution. Do not give them access to your bank account. Get them a cashier's check, which would be easily paid off using that. That there's no reason why they would need to have your bank account number. Now, I can't stress this second part enough. You have to get this agreement in writing, because one of the other instances that I've seen where I've helped people with some of their financial situations is they'll send in the $3,000, not getting it in writing, and then a week later they'll get a letter saying, hey, where's the other $6,000 that you owe us? You have to get it in writing. Now, this may seem a little bit ruthless, but unfortunately, where finances and dealing with financial institutions, you have to be just as ruthless with them as well in order to get your credit card debt settled. Now, remember, these companies will be ruthless with you, so you have to be just as ruthless with them. Now, what you want to do next in order to start building up positives within your credit rating is you want to actually get what is known as a secured, not an unsecured, but a secured credit card. And the way you do this, you go to a bank and you apply for a secured credit card. Now, when you get this credit card, of course, do not abuse it. But what you want to do is you want to go and you want to buy little innocuous items, bubble gum, soda at McDonald's, coffee, whatever. And you absolutely want to pay this on time. And what's going to happen is it's not going to show really how much you spend. All it's going to show is going to be, since you've made your payments, it's just going to show paid, 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 paid. And this is like absolute gold to start building up your credit and start removing if you have any negatives on your credit or on your credit score, and start adding positives to your credit score. And all you're really doing is buying very small items. So your monthly payments that you have to make every month in order to get these benefits are going to be, of course, very small as well. Now, here's where some of the, as I spoke earlier about the financial ruthlessness, comes into play a little bit. Um, let's say that you already have some negatives, or significant negatives on your credit line. What you do next is there's three credit reporting bureaus out there that basically report on all everyone's credit rating. They're Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to contact all three of them by phone, and you want to challenge items. And you don't want to do this all at once, but challenge items individually. And basically, when you call them up, you just say, no, 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 that's an error. I don't know what that charge is about. So you call them up and challenge them. And if they will contact that company, and if the company does not respond, that they know that you owe money to them, if they don't respond within a month, the negative automatically gets kicked off your credit. So if you do this over a span of time, say maybe a year, and you have multiple negatives on there, you can get stuff kicked on and really improve your credit that way. But you're going to have to make the effort, and a lot of people just don't call up and make the effort, and they don't know that they can do this. And you have to call all three companies too, because see, you can call, say, have a negative, say on Equifax, for example, but and it'll be off of that. But TransUnion, you will also have this negative, so you also have to call all three companies to make sure that the same negative has been removed from your credit report. The next thing I would recommend, especially for my younger um friends that are listening to this right now, um, usually wealth is built over an amount of time, and usually real wealth in the current financial system, or a significant amount of wealth, usually comes, depending on the situation, but on average it comes around 30 to 35 years of age and beyond. Now, what you're going to want to do in your younger years is you're going to want to try to be as frugal as possible. You're not going to want to go out there, when you're 20 years old, and buy the expensive sports car, or you're not going to want to go out there and spend the $5,000 on a $10,000 on $20,000 on a wedding, and $5,000 on a honeymoon, and etc. and etc. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to save as much of that money as possible. And this, of course, can be applied to the older audience as well, but especially for the younger audience, you really want to be as frugal as possible, because the fruits of your labor usually do not show up until later in life. However, if you are someone who has an extra sources of income, or perhaps has a windfall or simple luck getting that perfect job or perfect opportunity, then by all means, if you can afford it, then I would recommend going for the expensive sports car or what have you. Now, one of the other things that you can do, that's a good investment, is I'm a little bit biased where it comes to real estate. Now, real estate has always worked for me, so I want to, be a little biased towards that. But you need to diversify your income besides just real estate. Now, I recommend mutual funds. Go with both the Roth IRA, and you can go with a regular mutual fund. Now, I like a combination of the top down and bottom up approach to investing. And if you don't know what that is, look that up. And I'm talking about, if all your money is parked in a bank account right now, your entire savings, life savings, basically what you're doing it wrong. Um, What you probably asking is, well, what companies would you recommend? Right now, I've had a little bit a while ago, say like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I really like a company called Vanguard. You can check them out in the trades. So instead of just parking your money in a bank account and basically making nothing off of it, it's okay to diversify your income. Get a 10,000 that you normally spend somewhere else, and put that into a mutual fund. But you want to go for a mutual fund that's what is known as a no load mutual fund, not a load mutual fund. Um, so most mutual funds, a lot of times, some of them they'll have what is known as a front end load. Basically, that's just a fancy way of saying that there's a service fee to invest your own money. So you want to get with a bank broker or someone who is operates or works at a brokerage and is look into no load mutual funds. Uh, and if for some reason $10,000 maybe is too rich for your blood, then a lot of them will offer you to be able to get in for 2,500. And if that's too rich for your blood, some will let you in for 500 bucks. But it's really time to get started on this. Many of you are young, and if you follow my advice, it could mean the difference between living, say, the second half of your life very well or struggling for a vast majority of your life. So, hopefully, I'm giving y'all some pretty good stuff right here. So, hopefully, you'll take some of these gems and basically use them. Your next strategy, okay, as soon as possible, and I started this fairly early on, is you need to start setting aside basically um, what I would say would be 35% of your income. That's your income that you earn at your job uh, towards some kinds of savings or building wealth building. Um, so if you feel maybe 35% is a little bit much, you could go 15%. Say you put that 15% into your mutual fund, and some of it into silver, and some of it into cash savings. And if you make it happen, you're going to see some really dramatic results in a few years. Now, if that's too much for you to start with, the 35% would be optimal. But if you needed to go 15%, and even if you needed to go 10%, just to get your feet wet to start with, or even 5%. But as I said, 15 to 35% should be your goal. And if you're in your early 20s, at least do 10%. I really can't recommend doing any lower or any less than that. Now, if you do this, you're going to find that later, just with this one tactic alone, you're going to basically be building up quite a bit of financial security for later on. Now, if you have a semi reasonable job and income, it's never too soon to start doing this. I recommend, if even if this is your very first job, you're 16, 17 years old, do this, and you're going to see dramatic results. Now, another thing that I would recommend you do is, going back to the real estate issue, is I would say that if you purchase a home, the first thing you want to do if you're single is, if it's more than one bedroom, is I've seen people that fill up the rooms with renters. What you basically see is you see your coin multiply that way, and you got to be willing to sacrifice early on. Um, just basically get your feet wet, and you can check out the market and check what basically rooms are going for, and basically you rent out these rooms to renters. And what you're doing, you're making money now, where before you would have just had the debt of the house. You're letting other people's money work for you. Let them pay off your mortgage. My next uh, recommendation, where financial building and financial wealth security would be concerned, would be the following, which is, if that renter situation basically works out for you, to pick up other properties. I still think that real estate is a pretty good investment for the individual. Um, if you buy, say, two more properties with homes on them, that's another source of income there that can be coming your way in conjunction with your normal quote unquote 9 to 5 job. Now, you of course want to be very careful and do extensive background searches. There's different websites that are run by ex security personnel. Some of these websites can do very comprehensive background searches and checks. A lot of these companies employ and use ex intelligence and military intelligence personnel and techniques and investigative techniques. So you're really going to be getting your money's worth. They're not cheap. They can run from anywhere from say $200 to as much as $5,000, depending on how in depth the investigative background investigation you want on a potential renter. But it's basically worth the money because in the end, you're going to have that knowledge and that security that you're getting someone who's going to be relatively uh, safe and good for quote unquote your business, your rental business, and it's not going to tear up the place. So I would really recommend looking into background search websites and services, corporations and firms as well, if you're going to go that way. Now, the next thing you want to do is I'm just basically going to reiterate you want to take about 10% of your income and start putting it towards investing in retirement. 15% is ideal. And as I said, your first car and probably even your second car, if you're a younger person, should not be a new fancy car off the lot. It should be something reliable, even used, and let someone else take the hit off, on a purchase of a new car. Initially, when you do become rich, a little later, then you can go and you can buy the fancy cars. Me myself, I mean, I love fancy cars. But early on, you have to learn to sacrifice a little bit. We all, went through that in our early 20s and what have you. And so, what I'm telling you right now is basically free. I'm not going to be anyone's financial advisor, but I'm giving you guys, some pretty damn good advice right here, right now. So I would advise, for at least y'all to take a look at it and do your own research and decide whether this is courses of action that you would like to take. And as I said, most people who have achieved a level of success really don't tell you how they really did it. What I'm telling you right now is basically the same information I would tell really good friends. So take this advice to heart. Now, what you want to do, um, basically, when you are going to say you want to purchase your first private residence, is you negotiate, and you negotiate very, very hard. Um, you be ruthless. Your goal should never be to pay full asking price, or even close to it. Um, but what you want to do is you want to try to find multiple places that you like as far as locations, house designs, house ages, new homes, whatever you're in the market for. And you offer somewhere right around 70% of what they're asking for. 72%, and at the very highest 75. And what you're going to find is, you basically say you have 7 or 8 different locations you're looking at. Is one of those or more, is you're going to find that somebody really needs to sell, and they're going to make it happen. So many people out there, they pay way more than they need to for a home. I mean, even a really, really nice brand new home. If you're a little cutthroat and you're patient, you can get a great price, and you never have to pay too much for those expensive high ticket items. So, this little vlog is coming close to 30 minutes already, so I think I'm probably going to wrap it up there. I'll continue to talk a little bit more in some future vlogs about specific subjects or focus in more on different subjects. But just take some of this information, do your research, look into some of the subjects I spoke of tonight, and by all means, start doing some of these things. It's very important to, although I wouldn't say that money and wealth are the most important things in life, we need, unfortunately, we do need money for certain things and to get by. So, why not arm yourself with some good information and some good tactics as to how to take care of yourself financially? We all talk about, taking our care of ourselves in other ways, and I think that finances and taking care of ourselves financially is a big part of the overall scheme of taking care of ourselves and our loved ones as people, as persons. So, gang, hopefully this was a little bit insightful. Like I said, I'll probably be doing one sometime later on. But in the meantime, just as I said, research the information and check it out. And talk to y'all later. So, in the meantime, take care, enjoy your night, and hopefully everyone will have a good day tomorrow. So, take care, as I said, and cheers.